Hello everyone, welcome back to Naruto Fix. Today we have another interesting what if Naruto story. Which is what if Naruto and the Akatsuki teamed up against a greater enemy. Part 1. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. Now, without wasting any time, let's begin. The world had never seen peace like this before. Not fragile, not temporary, but real. Years after the war, Naruto Uzumaki had achieved what once felt impossible: unity among the nations. The Akatsuki were nothing but a dark memory. Or at least, that's what everyone believed. Because deep beneath that peace, something stirred. A presence older than war, older than hatred. Something that didn't care about Shinobi or their world. It began with disappearance. Not villages this time. Not people. But chakra itself. Entire regions suddenly felt empty. As if chakra had been erased from existence. Senses panicked. Medical ninja couldn't understand it. Even the strongest shinobi felt it. It's like the world is losing energy, one reported. Inside the Hokage office, Naruto stood still. Serious. This isn't natural. Behind him, shadows moved. You're right. Quote. Naruto didn't turn. Because he recognized that voice instantly. Sasuke Uchiha stepped forward. It's happening everywhere. Naruto clenched his fist. Any idea what's causing it? Sasuke shook his head. Number chakra signature. Silence. Because that meant, whatever this was beyond anything they had faced before. Then suddenly, the room went cold. Not physically, but spiritually. Naruto's eyes widened slightly. What is that? The air distorted. Dark. Heavy. And then, a voice echoed. Insufficient. Both Naruto and Sasuke turned instantly. At the center of the room, a distortion formed. Not an enemy. Not yet. Just presence. This world, the voice deepened, lacks energy. Naruto stepped forward, his chakra rising. Who are you? The presence shifted. A collector. Silence. Because that answer felt wrong. Dangerous. You consume chakra? Sasuke asked. Not consume. The voice replied calmly. Reclaim. Naruto's expression hardened instantly. Not happening. The presence flickered slightly. Resistance. Expected. Quote. And then, it vanished. Just like that. Leaving behind only one thing. Fear. Because Naruto understood something immediately. This wasn't just an enemy. This was something that saw the entire world as a resource. And if it wasn't stopped, everything would disappear. Not destroyed. Erased. Naruto turned sharply. We need every strong fighter. Sasuke nodded. Even the ones we shouldn't trust. Naruto didn't hesitate. Yeah. Because this wasn't a normal war. This was survival. Days later, a secret meeting was called. Hidden. Unknown. And when Naruto arrived, he wasn't alone. Figures stood in the shadows. Familiar. Dangerous. Legendary. Itachi Uchiha. Pain. Konan. Kisame Hoshigaki. The Akatsuki. Not as enemies, but as allies. For the first time ever, Naruto stepped forward. His expression serious. I never thought we'd stand on the same side. Quote. Pain looked at him calmly. Neither did I. Itachi's gaze remained sharp. But this enemy, a pause, is beyond all of us. Silence. Because they all felt it. That presence. That emptiness. Naruto clenched his fist. Then we stop it together. No arguments. No hesitation. Because this time, there was no good or evil. Only survival. But far away, watching them, that presence returned. Unity detected. A pause. Interesting. Because this wasn't part of its plan. But it didn't matter. Because no matter how strong they were still part of the system. And it was above it. The battle hadn't even begun yet. And already, the strongest forces of the shinobi world had united against something that didn't belong to their world at all. The underground chamber remained silent, heavy with tension as Naruto Uzumaki stood facing the very people he once fought to stop, and yet now, for the first time, there as no hostility between them, only understanding, because every single person in that room had felt it, that unnatural emptiness spreading across the world, that absence of chakra that didn't make sense, and Pain stepped forward slowly, his Rinnegan calm but focused. "This is not war," he said. His voice steady. "This is erasure." And those words settled deep, because they described exactly what was happening, not destruction, not conflict, removal. And Itachi Uchiha added quietly, "And it's selective," his sharp eyes analyzing everything. "It's targeting high-density chakra zones first. Naruto frowned slightly. "So it's prioritizing stronger areas." And Itachi nodded. "Efficiency," he replied, while Kisame Hoshigaki smirked faintly, though even his usual confidence felt restrained. "So basically, it's hunting the strongest first." And that realization made the situation even worse. Because that meant this enemy wasn't just powerful. It was intelligent, strategic, and methodical. And Conan stepped forward, her tone calm but serious. "Then we are already targets." Naruto didn't deny it. "Good," he said, his eyes sharpening, "because that means we can draw it out." Sasuke, street. Anding slightly behind him, crossed his arms. "Or it draws us in," he said, and both possibilities were equally dangerous, because this wasn't an enemy they could track normally. It didn't leave chakra traces, it didn't follow patterns they understood, it simply appeared, erased, and vanished. And for a moment, the room fell into deep silence again as everyone processed the scale of what they were dealing with, before Naruto stepped forward again. "Then we force it to show itself," he said firmly, and Pain's gaze shifted slightly. "How?" And Naruto didn't hesitate. "We gather chakra," he replied, "a massive amount, bigger than anything it's erased so far." Kisame raised an eyebrow slightly. "You're planning to bait it?" And Naruto nodded. "Yeah." And Itachi's eyes narrowed slightly, analyzing the idea instantly. "It would war. He admitted, if it truly prioritizes energy density." But Sasuke added, "Then we become the center of its attention." And Naruto smirked faintly. "Exactly, because that was the point. If they couldn't find it, they would make it come to them." And Sakura, who had been silent until now, finally spoke, her voice steady. "But we'll need control," she said. "If that thing starts erasing chakra mid-fight, we can't rely on raw power alone." And that added another layer of difficulty, because this wasn't just about gathering energy. It was about maintaining it under pressure. And Pain nodded slightly. "Then we combine abilities," he said, "not individually, but as one system." And that idea shifted the atmosphere again, because this wasn't just a temporary alliance anymore, this was coordination, something the Akatsuki and Naruto had never done before. And Naruto grinned slightly. Never thought I'd hear that from you." But his tone quickly returned to seriousness. "All right, we do it together." And Sasuke stepped forward slightly. "Then we choose the location carefully," he said. "Isolated, controlled, minimal civilian risk." Conan nodded. "There is a place," she said. "Far from any village, but with enough natural energy to amplify the effect." And Naruto looked at her. "Then that's where we go." And just like that, the plan was set. Not perfect, not safe, but necessary, because waiting wasn't an option anymore, not when the world itself was slowly being drained. And as they began preparing to move, gathering their strength, aligning their abilities, far beyond their sight, in a space where no chakra flowed, where no life existed, that presence stirred again, reacting to their decision. Energy concentration detected, it echoed, its voice calm, almost Ryu's. They adapt, and for the first time, there was something else in its tone. Not concern, not fear, but interest. "Then we will accelerate," it said. And in that moment, something changed, not in the world they stood in, but in the unseen layers beyond it, because this enemy wasn't just reacting anymore. It was evolving its approach, and that meant the next time they faced it, it wouldn't just observe, it would act. And as Naruto and the Akatsuki stepped out together, moving toward a battlefield that didn't yet exist, one thing became clear. This alliance wasn't just unlikely. It was the only thing standing between their world and complete erasure. The journey to the chosen battlefield began in silence, but it wasn't the uneasy silence of distrust. It was the silence of focus, of warriors who understood that what lay ahead wasn't something any one of them could handle alone, and as Naruto Uzumaki moved at the front, his chakra suppressed but ready, he could feel it again, that faint emptiness in the air, like something far away was already watching, already aware of their plan, and behind him, Sasuke Uchiha walked without a sound, his Rinnegan scanning constantly, not for chakra, but for absence, for the gaps where something unnatural might exist, while the Akatsuki followed in formation, not as individuals this time, but as a unit, Itachi Uchiha quietly observing every movement, Pain maintaining a calm, commanding presence, Konan tracking the environment, and Kisame Agaki unusually silent, because even he understood, this wasn't a fight you could enjoy, and as they reached the location, a vast, empty expanse surrounded by natural cliffs, untouched, isolated, perfect for what they were about to do, everyone stopped, the air completely still, no birds, no wind, nothing. This is it, Naruto said quietly, stepping forward, and Pain moved beside him. Then we begin, he replied, and without further discussion, they took their positions, forming a wide circle, not random, but precise, each of them acting as a node in a larger system, Naruto at the center, Sasuke slightly behind, anchoring space itself, Pain extending his control over gravitational forces, Konan preparing her paper constructs as stabilizers, Itachi focusing on perception and illusion control to prevent unseen interference, and Kisame acting as the energy buffer, his massive chakra reserves ready to sustain the system. And for a moment, nothing happened, just silence, just stillness, and then Naruto closed his eyes, taking a deep breath as his chakra began to rise, not explosively, but steadily, controlled, like a flame being carefully fed, and one by one, the others followed, their chakra linking, not merging chaotically, but aligning, creating a massive, stable field that began to spread outward, the air growing heavier, the ground vibrating slightly as the energy concentration increased. Keep it stable, Sakura's voice echoed from the side as she monitored the flow, ensuring it didn't collapse under its own weight, and Sasuke's Rinnegan pulsed as he maintained the spatial integrity, preventing the field from distorting, while Pain adjusted the gravitational pressure to keep everything contained, and slowly, the field grew, larger, denser, stronger, until it reached a point where even the surrounding environment began to react, the sky dimming slightly, the air thickening, and Naruto opened his eyes, feeling it fully now. This should be enough, he said, and for a brief moment, nothing happened, just the overwhelming presence of chakra filling the area. And then it shifted, a subtle change at first, barely noticeable, but enough, and Sasuke's eyes snapped upward. It's here, he said, and instantly, the entire formation tightened, everyone focusing, everyone ready, because the air in front of them began to distort again, not violently like before, but deliberately, like something was stepping into their world piece by piece. And Naruto's expression hardened as he stepped forward slightly, his chakra flaring just enough to meet it. Show yourself, he said, and the distortion responded, deepening, expanding, until finally, it appeared, not not completely, but enough, a form emerging from the emptiness, still undefined, still beyond comprehension, but present, and its voice echoed once more, calm, almost curious, significant energy, gathered, and Naruto didn't hesitate. Yeah, he replied, his voice steady. And it's all yours. If you can take it. And for a moment, there was silence, as if the entity was considering the offer, analyzing the situation, before it responded. You invite consumption, and Naruto smirked slightly. Number, he said, we're inviting a fight, and in that moment, the atmosphere snapped. The CALM breaking instantly as the entity's presence intensified. Reacting to the challenge, the air cracking under the pressure as the battle they had been preparing for, finally began, and this time, they weren't waiting, they weren't reacting. They had drawn it out, forced it into their field, and now they were ready to face it together. The moment the entity fully manifested within their formation, the entire field trembled under the pressure of its presence, like reality itself was resisting what had just entered it, and Naruto Uzumaki stepped forward slightly, his chakra flaring brighter but still controlled, because this time he wasn't rushing in blindly. This time everything was calculated, every movement part of a larger plan, and behind him Sasuke Uchiha kept his Rinnegan fixed on the distortion, tracking every fluctuation, every shift. It's stabilizing inside the field. Sasuke id. And that alone confirmed something important. The plan was working, at least partially. They had forced it into a space where its freedom was limited, and Pain raised his hand slightly, increasing the gravitational pressure within the field. Then we compress it further, he said, his tone calm but commanding, while Kisame Hoshigaki gripped Samehada tightly, his chakra feeding into the system. Hey, now this feels like a real fight, he muttered, though his eyes remained sharp, focused, and Itachi Uchiha observed silently, his Sharingan analyzing not the form of the enemy, but its behavior. Its patterns, looking for anything that could be exploited, while Konan extended her paper constructs around the perimeter, reinforcing the structure, ensuring the field didn't collapse under the increasing pressure, and for a moment, everything aligned perfectly. The entity's movement slowed. Its form flickering slightly as it adjusted to the constraints. External interference detected, it said, its voice echoing through all of them. Containment attempt acknowledged, and Naruto's eyes narrowed. Yeah, and you're not getting out this time, he replied, and without waiting, he moved. Not alone this time, but as part of the system they had created, his clones forming within the field, but instead of spreading out, they remained connected, feeding into the structure, each one acting as both attacker and stabilizer, and Sasuke moved at the same time, teleporting within the confined space, striking at the exact moments the entity flickered, targeting its instability points, while Pain increased the gravitational pull impulses, disrupting the entity's ability to fully stabilize, and for the first time, it began to struggle, its form distorting more visibly now. Its presence flew, situating as the combined pressure forced it into a state it wasn't designed for. Resistance increasing, it said, its tone shifting slightly, and Naruto pushed harder. Good, that means it's working. But just as the pressure reached a peak, the entity reacted. Not by escaping, not by breaking the field, but by changing its approach entirely, its form suddenly dispersing, not vanishing, but spreading across the entire field itself, becoming part of the space they were trying to control, and Sasuke's eyes widened slightly. It merged with the field, he said, and Naruto clicked his tongue. You've gotta be kidding me, because now they weren't just containing it, they were inside it, surrounded by its presence, and instantly, the pressure shifted, no longer focused on the entity, but on him, the field itself beginning to work against its creators. Adaptation complete. The voice hoed from everywhere at once, containment reversed, and in the next instant, the entire structure destabilized, Naruto's clones dispersing, Konan's constructs tearing apart, the gravitational control breaking as the system collapsed under its own reversal, forcing everyone back slightly as the entity reformed at the center, now more stable than before, And for a brief moment, silence fell again, heavier than ever, because this wasn't just a counter, it was a complete reversal of their strategy. And Naruto steadied himself, his expression serious but unwavering. All right, he said quietly. Guess we're doing this the hard way. And Sasuke stepped beside him once more, his gaze sharp. There was never an easy way, he replied, and the Akatsuki regrouped behind them, their formation broken but their resolve intact, because now they understood. This enemy didn't just adapt to attacks. It adapted to systems, to strategies, to anything that tried to limit it, and that meant one thing: they couldn't rely on a single plan, they had to keep changing, keep evolving, just like it did. And Naruto clenched his fist again, his chakra rising. Then we don't give it time to adapt, he said. An Pain nodded slightly. Constant pressure, he added, while Itachi spoke calmly, and unpredictability, and Sasuke finished the thought, we break its analysis, and Naruto smirked faintly. Now that sounds like a fight, because this time, they weren't just going to contain it, they were going to overwhelm it, not with one strategy, but with many, constantly shifting, constantly changing. And as the battlefield trembled once more, signaling the next phase of the fight, one thing became clear: this alliance wasn't just temporary anymore. It was necessary, because without all of them, this enemy couldn't be stopped. The air snapped back into motion as both sides reset, but this time there was no hesitation, no waiting, because everyone present understood the same thing. This enemy wasn't something that could be trapped, contained, or predicted for long. It had to be pressured constantly. Why? Forced to react faster than it could adapt. And Naruto Uzumaki stepped forward again, his chakra rising in sharp, controlled bursts instead of one massive surge. We hit it non-stop, he said, his voice firm. No patterns. And beside him Sasuke Uchiha nodded slightly, already moving, his Rinnegan and tracking multiple positions at once. Keep it guessing, he added, while behind him Itachi Uchiha closed his eyes briefly, focusing. I'll disrupt its perception, he said calmly, and Pain raised his hand again, not to trap, but to interfere in pulses. I'll destabilize its structure continuo. Usly, while Konan spread her paper constructs across the battlefield, not as barriers this time, but as shifting layers, constantly moving, constantly changing the environment. And Kisame Hoshigaki grinned slightly, finally stepping forward. Hey, now this is more like it. As he surged forward, raw power, acting as the pressure point, and in the next moment, everything exploded into motion. Naruto's clones attacked in rapid succession, not synchronized, not predictable, each one acting independently, forcing multiple interactions at once, while Sasuke teleported unpredictably, striking moments that didn't align with any rhythm, and Itachi layered genjutsu over the battlefield. Not to trap the entity completely, but to distort its perception just enough to create inconsistencies, while Pain's gravitational pulses disrupted its stability continuously, and Konan's shifting construct altered the terrain every second, removing any fixed point the entity could rely on. And for a moment, it worked, the entity's form flickering more aggressively now, its movements less precise, its responses slightly delayed as it processed the constant changes. Analysis disrupted, it said, its voice no longer perfectly calm. And Naruto pushed harder. That's it. Don't let it breathe. But even then, the entity didn't collapse, didn't break. Instead it adapted again, but slower this time, more deliberate, its form shifting into something less defined, less dependent on fixed interactions, allowing it to bypass some of their attacks, but not all. And Sasuke's eyes narrowed. It's struggling more now, he said, and Itachi added quietly, because we're not giving it a stable system to adapt to. And that was the key. They weren't trying to trap it anymore. They were denying it consistency. Denying it the ability to fully analyze the battlefield. And Naruto grinned slightly. Then we keep it like this. But suddenly, the entity changed again, not by stabilizing, but by attacking differently. Instead of targeting them directly, the ground beneath them began to fade, not breaking, no. Cracking, disappearing, sections of the battlefield losing their presence entirely, as if erased, and Naruto's eyes widened slightly as he jumped back. It's erasing space itself, he said, and Sasuke reacted instantly, teleporting out of the affected area, not just space, everything in it, and that meant if they got caught in that, there would be nothing left, no damage, no trace, just gone, and the battlefield began collapsing piece by piece, forcing all of them to move constantly, to adapt to a terrain that no longer existed normally, and Conan's constructs struggled to stabilize the shifting ground, while Pain's gravitational control tried to hold the remaining space together, but even then, the erasure continued, spreading slowly but steadily. It's changing the battlefield to its advantage, Sakura's voice echoed from behind as she analyzed the situation, and Naruto clenched his fist. Then we don't stay in one place, he said, and instantly, their movements accelerated again, faster, sharper, more aggressive, because now standing still meant disappearing, and Sasuke appeared beside Naruto again. We need to force it back, he said, and Naruto nodded, yeah, push it in to a corner, because if they let it control the environment completely, the fight would be over before they even realized it, and as they moved again, attacking relentlessly, forcing the entity to respond instead of act freely, the battlefield became something unrecognizable. Not land, not space, but a constantly shifting void where every second mattered, and through it all, the entity remained at the center, adapting, evolving, learning, but this time, slower, pressured, and for the first time since it appeared, it wasn't fully in control anymore. The battlefield had turned into something unrecognizable. No longer land, no longer sky, just fragments of existence, constantly shifting, collapsing, reforming. And in the middle of it all, Naruto Uzumaki stood firm, breathing steady, eyes sharp. Beside him, Sasuke Uchiha, calm and focused as ever. Behind them, the Akatsuki, not as enemies, not as outcasts, but as warriors, fighting for the same goal. For the first time in history, they were united. The entity flickered again at the center. Its presence no longer flawless, no longer untouchable. Instability detected. Its voice echoed. But this time, it wasn't calm. It was strained. Naruto smirked slightly. Looks like you're not perfect after all. Sasuke added quietly. You're adapting slower. Itachi's eyes narrowed. Which means we're overwhelming it. Pain raised his hand again. Continue pressure. Kisame grinned. Hey, now it's getting fun. Conan's constructs shifted once more, holding the battlefield together, just enough for them to keep fighting. Because now, they had something they didn't before. An advantage. Small, fragile, but real. Naruto stepped forward again, his chakra rising. We can win this. For the first time. Those words didn't sound impossible. But the entity didn't panic, didn't retreat. Instead, it went silent, completely silent. And that was worse. Because suddenly, the battlefield stopped shifting. Everything froze. Not stable, not normal, but paused. Sasuke's eyes narrowed instantly. Something's wrong. Naruto felt it too. That pressure, that change. It's not adapting anymore. A pause. It's preparing. The entity's form began to change. Not flickering, not unstable, but condensing, shrinking inward, becoming something more defined, more focused, more dangerous. Phase transition initiated. Its voice echoed once more. Calm again. Cold again. You have forced progression. Naruto's expression hardened. Then we'll finish it here. But deep down, he knew. This wasn't the end. This was escalation. Sasuke stepped beside him. Be ready. Itachi's gaze sharpened. This next phase, pain completed, will be different. Quote, and for the first time, even the Akatsuki felt it. That shift, that danger, because whatever this enemy was becoming, it was evolving beyond what they had faced so far. The air grew heavier, the space darker, and at the center, the entity completed its transformation. Not fully visible, not fully understood, but undeniably stronger. Naruto clenched his fist. Hey, a faint smile appeared. Good, because no matter what it became, they wouldn't back down. Not now, not together. The battlefield trembled once more, signaling the beginning of something far bigger. Because this wasn't just a fight anymore. It was a war for existence itself.